Next, joining us is Professor Asanga Abeyagoonasekera, who's a Sri Lankan political analyst and a senior fellow at the Millennium Project in Washington, D.C. Welcome to the programme.
Thank you for having me.
How significant do you think that this letter is, the confirmation of the resignation?
Well, it is significant to the protesters because it is the first time in the Sri Lankan political history that you see a president who has escaped and submitted a resignation through a Sri Lankan embassy in Singapore. And it's an achievement for the Sri Lankan general public who was against this autocratic leader. They'll be celebrating, the protesters. You see everybody celebrating, children, mothers, everyone, because of the suppression that they went through, from his autocratic rule, the family rule in Sri Lanka. So it's a celebration, plus, I see a lot of challenges ahead.
Well, quite. Him resigning doesn't go any way to solving these very deep economic problems that Sri Lanka has. First of all, who is there that can take them on, and what are the priorities?
According to the Sri Lankan constitution, the speaker should call the next, the most favorable person from the legislature. And so that has, there is Prime Minister who has actually, started work as an acting president. But the constitutionality of that, his own appointment has to be looked at. And right now, anyway, whoever becomes the acting president and the next prime minister is an interim government. So they belong to an interim government. So which means they will be acting on interim measures. So the first thing what the new government, the interim government, should do is actually to de-escalate the political tension, because you need economic stability. So here is a situation where protesters are saying there is a prime minister who left by the Rajapaksa, who came from one seat from the parliament. There's legitimacy of that of his appointment, because he was never elected from the people. So I think the first thing they need to do is to have the president and the prime minister next appointed should be appointed by the people of the country.
Of course, the International Monetary Fund has been involved in discussions about bailing out Sri Lanka. Apart from them, is there a role for the international community, for outsiders to try and help Sri Lanka at this time?
No, definitely. There's a huge role for the international community to re-democratize the country, because here is an autocrat who has left the country by making many structural adjustments to the constitution, bringing in all independent institutions under him. So to re-democratize, it takes time. It takes elections.
Just briefly, how do outsiders re-democratize, as you put it, a country?
Well, one way, the protesters are saying, for example, the accountability. Now, you have, basically an autocratic leader who has left the country, who has looted the money. So accountability is, even the British parliamentarian rightly mentioned, Ed Davey, he mentioned about, working on an international arrest warrant. So these are very important measures. So, and also to hold elections. Since it's an interim government, you need elections. So it's important that the new interim government says that, when is the next election date is going to be. So that would, create some sort of, I would say, de-escalation of the tension. So that's what's important.
Professor Asanga Abeyagoonasekera, thank you very much indeed. Now, the Met Office has issued an amber weather warning